Hello and welcome back to Not Another Football Podcast. I'm Luke, this is Ollie, and we're here each week to discuss the Premier League. One of us is... Actually, no, we're both happy this time round, aren't we, Ollie, surely? After the starts of the season for both our teams. I'm a Liverpool fan, Ollie's a Chelsea fan, for those who don't know.
Not as happy as you.
Well, I know, man. After today, obviously beating Southampton 3-2, we are now 8 points clear of City, which is mad. I must admit, we've joked over the last couple of weeks about Liverpool's probability of winning the league. I'm gonna raise it. I was at 7% last week, and I think after this week it's up to 9% chance that we win the league. Probability.
It's growing each week. 3 point gap is growing each week, that's for sure.
Yeah, it is. And Arne Slot, was it now 16 wins in 18?
Yeah, that's
overall?
wild.
Ridiculous considering obviously he come in and took over from Klopp as well. Couldn't have expected this sort of start, and mate, I'm in dreamland. Even though if you'd have asked me that during the game today, if you'd have seen me watching that game, Jesus, that was a rough game to watch. Southampton, after the weeks of me criticising Russell Martin and Southampton, they gave us a right good game. Were you able to watch it?
Yeah. I was. When I was watching that penalty, I was thinking about texting you, but I decided to leave it.
It's very
the
kind
phantom
of you.
penalty.
I know, man. Yeah, let's start on that. I know, I might be biased, but I was literally looking at the images and I was like, that is outside the box. What are they on about lack of evidence?
Yeah, there's one angle where it looks favourable, but that's only when it's in still. That's the only one that I could put down to it. But it's that's not a penalty. It's outside the box when he's first made the contact.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, when they were showing the images, I was like, I'm adamant that's outside the box. The stills, and even like Robertson's foot wasn't touching the line. On the still, it looked like it was just before the line. So yeah, I wasn't happy, obviously, as you can imagine. But also with the lead up to that goal, I mean, Van Dijk, pretty much. I mean, that goal basically summed Liverpool up, didn't it? Especially in the first half, we were just so lethargic, and I think just going through the motions, expecting we'll turn up, we'll pick up an easy win, comfortable win, control the game, win like 2-0, for example, get out of there. Obviously, Southampton had different ideas, and they gave us a right good game, but Van Dijk coming out with the ball and then just losing it like that, putting us under pressure, Dibbling going past Gravenberch like he wasn't there, and then Robertson to just make a rash, error of judgment and dive in. I mean, he has that in him, so it can happen. But I think that game just summed up, if you're not at it, then you can be got at. And after City dropping points, I thought, don't let it be one of those days. But ultimately, hey, we came back and won. So, Salah.
Yeah, you're gonna need obvious statement 1-1, but you're gonna need to play a lot better next week if you wanna go 11 points clear. But what are your confidence levels on beating City?
I mean, obviously being at Anfield, City's record there's terrible, especially with fans, and I think we should win. I mean, they're rocking at the moment. They're on the ropes in terms of their title defence. I think if we beat them, I think they're done. I mean,
11 points would be some comeback, even by their standards. Still
exactly.
So early. Yeah.
But the problem is when you say 11 points, is because this isn't City who are on a blip and they lost one, they've drawn one, and then they've gone to Anfield and lost, and you could be like, okay, yeah, but it's still City. They're starting to look like a team that's very fragile. Age catches up with players, and if you got as Liverpool found out under Klopp, you've got too many that are over the threshold in terms of age, and performances start to dip all at the same time, and then you get injuries. All just rolls up into one, and let's be honest, City, if they lose to us, it probably looks very unlikely they'll defend the title. I still imagine they'll comfortably get into top four, I'd assume. But it just feels like they're having a season that we had during the COVID season with Klopp, where we just scraped top four, but we had so many injuries and our title challenge defence just fell off a cliff. It feels like that's kind of the season they're having.
Feels like even if they were to get beat by you and they weren't able to build up like any momentum, just one, you can just see them like losing like a game against Arsenal, against us, or against United, and them just slipping right back down. Like 11 points gives you probably zero margin forever now to win a title if there's any coming back at all.
Yeah, exactly. And you're going off what you've seen so far of them this season and saying they need to go on a 15-game win streak.
Yeah, it's unlikely.
Yeah, it seems a stretch. Before though we jump onto their game with Spurs, because obviously that was a really interesting game. Just wanted to get your thoughts. Obviously, you're more of a neutral, even if you probably wanted Southampton to win, but you're still more of a neutral. So, thoughts on the game?
I did want Southampton to win, but my hopes of Chelsea getting anywhere near you is challenging to say the least. No, I thought like for you guys, like you say, you just didn't. Particularly in the first half, you didn't get out of second gear. You just looked like you were gonna walk it, and then the momentum swung with them, and just shows what a great player Salah is to get you out of trouble. Like, he's just been unbelievable this season, and he does look like this, the Salah that could and maybe should fire you to the title if he continues to play like that, because he's just absolutely phenomenal, like getting those goal scoring opportunities.
Yeah, he decided to grab the game by the scruff of the net really for us. I mean, it was his ball anyway that caused Sugawa, or however you pronounce his name, for Southampton to lead to the handball that led to the penalty. So it was Salah putting in again quality to cause issues in defence. He really did step up. I mean, he's been brilliant all season. Let's be honest, he's been brilliant for us non-stop. But again, this could have easily been a season where people questioned him with a new manager coming in. If we got off to a slow start, his contract's up at the end of the season, he's going to be 33 at the end of the season. All sort of narratives that could have been played out, but now it's just the complete opposite, isn't it? Everyone's just calling for him to get a new deal, give him a new deal. He's earned it. I mean, look at the shape he's in. His top off, it's just like, geez. I mean, the guy is a phenom. He's just going to keep going. So, get him a new contract. Get Van Dijk a new contract. Solidify that squad. Trent will be a bit more difficult, but solidify that squad to build upon, and give the reins to Salah this season to try and fire us to the title, which is looking pretty likely at this point with how we've been playing. I mean, 9% chance of winning the league probability from me. Very very likely in my mind. But no, so also though, one thing that does stay in the mind from the game is even at 2-1, did you think they should have had a penalty? The Kelleher Armstrong.
Yeah. Well, they might have missed it again anyway.
True.
What did you think to that? It was a good save, right? It feels like we speak about it every week, but he's so good, Kelleher. Yeah,
he's fantastic. It was a good save. It was just unfortunate, obviously, with the rebound. I mean, it can happen with a penalty. But no, Kelleher's been fantastic. Guy stepped up to the plate every time, even under Klopp, he's always stepped up. He had a couple of shaky games last season when he first came in at the very start of Alison's injury, when we played like Fulham at home. 2 of the goals he should have done better with. But other than that, he's been pretty faultless. But I think with that, I actually thought they were going to give it, with VAR. Because obviously it's one of those that he's come out to. It was a bit like Sanchez, wasn't it? You remember when Sanchez took out Jones, but Sanchez actually got something on the ball, whereas Kelleher didn't.
Yeah.
So I actually thought they were going to, on review, give the penalty, and obviously a chance for Southampton to go 3-1 up. But very thankful they didn't. And obviously, we went on to win the game from it. But yeah, I think those are the games you look back on. You're not playing your best, but at least you're picking up wins. So
yeah, big 3 points in the swing.
Yeah.
And swing of things as well, and to be what's that? 9 points out of Arsenal as well. Maintain that. That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, really gives us a great chance. And obviously, as a result of Spurs City, we'll talk about that. Obviously, City at home to Spurs, and I actually thought with the announcement of Pep signing contract extension for 2 years, which me and you were both unhappy about for obvious reasons. I actually thought it might be it might galvanise them and they might come out and, win, not convincingly, but get like a 2-0 home win, 3-1 home win. Feels like it kickstarts a season sort of feeling around the club, but it was anything but.
No, there's just so many holes in that midfield, right? I know it's glaringly. There's just so many glaring spaces through the middle. Like, it just doesn't seem that Rico Lewis is suited to that role either, and just so much space across the pitch for Maddison and Kulusevski to get into. It just doesn't feel like you're watching a Manchester City team at all. Like, the control isn't there whatsoever, especially in the midfield and at the back. Now they're making defensive mistakes. So it's nice to see, to be honest. It's nice to see them up against it for a change.
Yeah, I mean, it's been 4 in a row and 4 years of near on perfect. So it is good to see them have an actual. Well, no, they've had a challenge obviously over the years because we've pushed them and Arsenal have pushed them. But to actually see faults in the team, and like you said, I think a lot of the players, they just missing key players, obvious, but even the players that they've got fit and available look off it and look a bit leggy to me.
Yeah. I thought it's strange that he'd not moved Akanji or Stones into midfield on a more semi-permanent role to shore them up. It just doesn't feel like they definitely haven't got the right balance through midfield, and Gundogan, it certainly isn't the player that he was even 2 years ago when he left them. So yeah, I think maybe they go in and strengthen in January, but I think if they continue to play like that throughout December, they could be, even next week, they could be out of it by then.
Yeah.
Ruben Diaz is a big miss at the back as well, for sure.
Yeah, and that just compounds, obviously matters with the likes of Rodri missing. It's really weird, though, to watch the City team be like that. They're just so...
Yeah.
I mean, you can get at them. We spoke early on in the season, didn't we, when they were getting by with a few wins. Yeah. We kept saying, like, you can see that you can get at them, and the gaping holes, obviously missing... It feels like that centre area is just... I don't know, it feels like you can just walk through the team. Like, they've got no legs in midfield. And then, to compound miseries, they've got the likes of Kyle Walker, who looks well off it. I mean, Timo Werner obviously left him for... Yeah.
He's quick, Timo.
He is quick.
That's the one thing you would say about him.
It's not like the only thing you're giving him.
I'll always give him his dues for his Champions League against them, to be fair, in the final. So, even if he was running in the wrong direction half the time.
Yeah, but he put it in, to be fair. But no, I mean, when you see that from Walker, question mark.
Not the first time it's happened this season, though, is it?
No, exactly. Adama Traore, but I mean, Adama Traore could do that to anyone. But then, even against Brighton, he was getting beat quite easily, or it felt like he was out of position and he wasn't recovering as well as he used to. I think this is just compounded, like we said, all these injuries, the fact that they've got a small squad and Pep can't rotate anymore at the moment because he just hasn't got anyone else. So he has to rely on these players who are off form, looking leggy, and missing their best players. So it's all compounded into the City that we're seeing.
Yeah. What do you think about the tropes that they're not getting the ball quickly enough into the box, into Haaland, and Walker's, just stop crossing it? Like, think it's valid or invalid, or do you think they'll try and totally rip up what they're doing and kind of start again?
It feels like he has to try and find something that's different. Because at the moment it's not working. Obviously, no winning 5 or 5. Is it 5 straight losses? I think it's 5 straight losses. Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously, I mean, there is the issue. I definitely do think that is a case with not getting the ball into Haaland quick enough. Maybe if De Bruyne gets a run in the team, that those will change. But there was times in the game watching it last night that you saw the ball go wide, and Haaland in the second half he looked a bit despondent because usually when the ball went wide and you'd think, okay, the forward in the box is going to at least make movement, even if it opens up space for other players. He just stopped moving because he just knew the ball wasn't coming. They're going to recycle it back, then they're going to spread it across, and that hasn't been working all game. So he just started to look despondent, and there was one bit. I remember it literally went out wide to, it might have been Walker. Haaland just didn't move. He just kind of stood still. Ball then went back, and he just kind of like that with his arms, the ball's not coming in. There's no point me making movement.
Yeah, looks concerning for them, which is good. Finally.
Yeah.
But I'm absolutely gutted he signed a new contract. I really thought this would be the last one that we would have to face with him. But what would that take him to? 11 years?
11
Manchester
years,
City, if he fulfills his contracts.
Yeah.
It's just never ending.
They told us when he signed that he's only a 3-year man. What happened to that?
Yeah, I know. He's tripled that.
He has. Oh, painful.
I know.
He also, apparently there's no relegation release clause, so if they're found guilty and somehow get relegated, which you would assume has no chance of happening if he signed a new deal.
Yeah, that's the only thing he hasn't done, to be fair, is win a championship. So
yeah, add that to the accolades, get him down there.
Yeah. If he's not happy about the number of games before, then 46 games is struggle for him.
Yeah, he's gonna hate that. I must admit though, I thought it might have been his time. I was quite surprised.
I really thought it was his time as well. Yeah, agreed. But no. We go on again.
We do. Yeah, it's a shame. Ah, well. Anyway, from one bald man to another. Enzo Maresca.
One disciple to the next. It wasn't the best game, to be honest. Leicester were woeful the first 35 minutes. It reminded me a lot of the game that we played against West Ham, where a team was just so far behind the other. It was levels in between the two. It was one of those games as well where you're so dominant, but you just don't score more than one, and you're in total control, almost too much control, and then you get lazy. And then Leicester managed to just galvanise themselves a little bit, got a few chances before the second half, and in fairness to them, they should have probably scored one of them. And then in the second half, that second goal finally came. And then we just gave Leicester a little chance to get back in it at the end. I thought that Enzo was had to play against Leicester. You thought that if he didn't play against Leicester, that could have been him done under Maresca. But he was really, really good. He ran the game from start to finish. Badiashile came in as well due to an injury, with Gusto being out, Fofana going to right back. Badiashile was excellent as well, was just driving the ball through the midfield lines up to the front three. Those two fundamentally won us the game. Sanchez tried to throw one in his own net as ever.
He always does.
And I don't know if you saw the penalty, but it was a case of Weetabix hands, probably the worst penalty save I've ever seen. It was like right at him.
Did he think he was going down the middle? But he moved his body to the left, didn't he? And then went back right. It was weird. Yeah,
his legs just crumbled underneath him again, and just folded into himself, and then wasn't able to get any sort of power in his arms because of that.
He's allergic to clean sheets, that guy. He doesn't want
it. Well, we've had, I think Chelsea, we've had like 2 or 3 in the last 23 Premier League games, which is diabolical, really, when you think about it. We always seem to give up chances, and yesterday was no different. But another win, and keeps us in the mix with with City and Arsenal and
Mate,
keeps
how
us ahead of
mad's that?
Spurs by 3 points.
How mad's
Mad.
that? If I'd have said to you at the start of the season after, what is it? Is it 11 games? 12 games?
12 games now, yeah.
12 games. If I said to you after 12 games, you'll be, what are you a point behind City or level?
We're a point behind Manchester
Okay.
City.
Yeah, if I'd have said that, you'd have been like, oh my days, what a title run. Title challenge, potentially. Like momentum, you could build. You never know.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, we're quite far ahead at the moment. But still, that's pretty good going, considering, it was a bit bleak for you guys last season. I know things picked up the tail end of the season, didn't they, with Pochettino? You did look like you were making forward movement and building something to build on, and then he left. So it's
I mean,
play.
you can't argue with this points. I think Maresca could be a bit disappointed not to have more. To be fair, as well. But yeah, these are the games that maybe towards the middle end of all this middle stages of last season we probably would have thrown away and got a draw. But as for Leicester, it's they look really, really bad. I would be surprised if they stayed in the division, and they certainly need Daka back because they had no threat with Vardy. In fairness, they just kept lumping the ball up to him.
Yeah, apparently he's got an injury as well that he's playing through, so obviously that doesn't help. But I mean, Faust at the back is pretty useless. I mean, who's the other one? Okali or something? I've not seen much of him, so I'm not going to comment as if I know him inside out. But before that, it was Vestergaard. I mean, he's not great either. So, defensively they look vulnerable. Even when I watched them in the first game of the season against Spurs, how Spurs didn't win that game, I'll never know. They had so many chances.
Well, this was exactly what I was thinking when I was watching the game. Was like it was a carbon copy of the Spurs one, and you just thought, oh my God, if we don't get 2-3 goals ahead, like Leicester could pull themselves back into it. And to be fair to Cooper, that's what I was surprised when they let him go. Like, it's certainly made a change after 35 minutes, and they did look stronger. And again in the second half, they weren't totally out of the game, and they looked more solid. So. They did make a couple of tactical changes that worked, albeit they were so bad in the first 35 minutes. But first managers to go, not one that you or I predicted. Second.
Yeah, Ten Hag.
Yeah, Ten Hag. Yeah.
Well, the Cooper one, I said to you before we started recording. Apparently, the rumours after like the first 2-3 games of the season with the players were unhappy with him and they weren't sure what they were meant to be doing tactically. If that's coming out after obviously the first couple of games of the season, then I think the writing's on the wall. Especially because essentially to stop that sort of chatter, you just need to win games. And Leicester are always going to have a season where they're probably, if they're going to stay up, well, they're going to win maybe 7-8 games. Throw in draws to keep him up. So it's like, with the players already against him in that sense, then I thought, he was a dead man walking. And unfortunately, that happened.
It felt like the fans were against him. They were booing them after 20 minutes, which is never a good sign.
No, that doesn't help. He said that the referee basically cost them the game as well.
Well, if the referee, I think it swings and roundabouts. I think definitely could have got them a penalty but it was still at 2-0, and also they should have had a player sent off in the first half.
Indeed,
challenge that. I mean, they got away with quite a few Leicester in the first half, but that was particularly bad. How that is not. Yeah, I mean, he's nowhere near the ball. Sives him down and then comes through and followed through with his second leg as well. Like that's a red card, surely.
Yeah, I'm with you. I thought that was a red card. That should have been. Yeah. I actually didn't think the one on I forget the player's name now for Leicester, but I didn't think that was a penalty either for Fana.
No, you can see him give him, but I think maybe I'm being biased, but it felt like he jumped into him.
No, to be honest, if Fofana makes any movement with his leg, as in like out to in or whatever, then I think you're going to get a penalty for it. But he literally just stands sideways, like, yeah. It was more the player jumping into him. So I'd maybe Steve Cooper just clutching at straws because he knew that obviously potential sacking was on the cards. But yeah, no, I didn't think it was a pen. Who do you reckon then gets the Leicester job?
I think Potter had long discussions with them, didn't he, last time, and he didn't go for it. And they've been quite. I feel like with Leicester, they're always fairly shrewd in terms of who they go for, and they've had quite a good hit rate in terms of the managers that they've chosen. You might tell me I'm missing some glaringly obvious ones there, but it always seems like they find the right appointment at the right time. Who else was linked with it? I think Ruud van Nistelrooy's favourite, right?
I seen he was linked with it. I haven't seen who's favourite, but the three names I seen were Potter, Ruud van Nistelrooy, and David Moyes. I'd seen he was linked with the job, but surely Moyes could get a better job than Leicester in terms of a team that's more well established in the league already, who might be having a bad season.
Yeah, I probably in agreement there. And the Leicester just seem like they're under quite tight restrictions in terms of from a spend perspective, and also they've got one of the weaker squads. So you'd be surprised if Moyes jumped back in for what would be the first job there.
Yeah, exactly.
I think probably more likely Ruud or Potter if he needs a way back in.
Yeah, I agree. I think Potter would be a great appointment. Ruud's the unknown. Obviously, he did pretty well with PSV, but nothing spectacular. And then he did all right, obviously, with the caretaker role at United. But again, fixtures were pretty favourable. So it would be a bit more unknown, but you never know. I mean, these young managers need a chance somewhere. So he could bring something fresh.
And on to United.
Yeah.
1-1. What are your thoughts?
I was pretty worried after the first minute. I thought Ipswich could be in for a very long day, but to be honest, Ipswich were really good from what I've seen. So I watched the first half properly, and then I watched the second half on my phone whilst out. So from what I could see, it looked like Ipswich basically took the game to them.
Yeah,
they were the team on the front foot. The ones, obviously, I mean, I know they're the home team and stuff like this, but they kept the ball well. They were creating good chances. I mean, Delap should have had a couple.
He did both good saves, to be fair. The second one, he can't really do anything else with that, but maybe the first one.
He needs to roll it, side foot it into the bottom right corner. But to be fair, still a very good save considering it's point blank and he has smashed it. Yeah. But other than that, I thought United were pretty poor. But it just makes me... It's one of those, isn't it? It was the same when Klopp came into Liverpool. We played Spurs away, we drew 1-1. Or was it 0-0? Can't remember off the top of my head. But either way, it was a pretty drab game. We showed glimpses. And maybe there was small glimpses what he's trying to do. But ultimately, the players are the issue, aren't they? It's going to take time for him to sort out and bring in the players for his system. Those players have let down many a manager before. They put in performances like that before. It wasn't all going to change overnight. That's my thoughts on it. How about you?
Yeah, I think going back to what we were saying about Ipswich, they looked really strong. Like they're a bit more quality in the wide areas. I think they would have won that game. And it seems like they've got a striker in Delap that gives them a good chance of staying up if you compare him with the 5 or 6 other strikers in and around those teams that are in the bottom 5 or bottom 6. Seems like he could be the pick of the bunch. I thought Hutchinson was really good, lively in the first half and caused them lots of problems. As for United, I'm not sure the solution is Rashford up front. His work rate was poor and his attitude just looked really off. Like he was just complaining every time the ball didn't go into him or the pass wasn't perfect for him. And you just feel like he's going to have to make a statement killing over him or Casemiro or maybe even both, because he's got to rip a few things up and start again, hasn't he?
100%.
If he wants that system to work.
Yeah, and you can't have players like that. You just can't. I don't know what's happened to Rashford over the years where I feel like, I don't know, I can't pick, because obviously I'm not a United fan, so I can't pinpoint the exact moment where this attitude started creeping in and you needed a manager then and there to be like, no, look, you can't do this. You need to get that out of your game. It's been allowed to foster, it feels like.
Yeah.
And now it's got to the point, well, I mean, if he's going to be like this under Amorim, they need to get rid of him. He just needs to go. It's just not going to work. Can't be carrying passengers, especially players who aren't, it's not like you're talking about your Messis and Ronaldos who you can get by if they had a bit of an attitude problem because they're banging in goals left, right and centre and, changing games and being match winners. Whereas Rashford's been far from that over the last few seasons and it looks like the writing's on the wall for him.
I don't think that system works for him playing in the 10 either. So that's the only real place he can play. Ahmad looked dangerous going forward, but obviously as a wing back, just like defensively suspect, put him probably, like I say, against opposition who are more dangerous in wide areas, and he's going to really struggle on it. Yeah, it's going back to what you said at the start, and a lot of the pundits said after the game, it's the players. The players are the ones that are going to cost Amorim there, and he's going to have to do a big job in terms of recycling through and managing to maybe keep 5 or 6 of those starting players.
Yeah,
maybe at a push.
Yeah, obviously it'll have to be done over time, but like give it, say if Amorim's in the job for 3 seasons, I bet in 3 seasons his team and squad's going to look very different because it needs a major overhaul, and he's needed it for years. It's needed it for years. So I completely agree. Good. Long may it continue that obviously that they struggle as a Liverpool fan. I want them to struggle. I actually do think that there's a good chance Amorim will be very good for them. But obviously I just hope it takes quite a while for them to get up to scratch. But we'll see. Ipswich, they look like you said, they've got a striker and a couple of exciting players like Omar Hutchinson who could really, really hurt teams. So if they can build upon that, then you never know. The only thing is with these teams who fight in relegation, it's like Southampton today. They'd show glimpses maybe against the top teams, but then next week will happen and they'll play, your less glamorous sides and they'll lose 3-0 and all of a sudden people again are like, okay, they're off the boil a bit. But, if they can string some decent performances together, you never know.
Well, they're not out of it, are they? I mean, that's the main thing. And Everton and Leicester look so poor at the moment that you feel like those two could drop well into it and Ipswich could steer, not clear, but it gives themselves a fighting chance up against those two.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, well, that's a good place to end it there. If you are listening if you're watching on YouTube, give us a like and subscribe, all that good stuff, and share the podcast. We're also available on Spotify, so, if you are listening on Spotify, leave us a good review and share the podcast as well. We'll be back next week to discuss some more football and the Premier League. But until then, have a good week and see you later, guys. You're not even saying bye anymore.
Oh, I don't know. You just wrapped it up perfectly.
Oh, right. Well, that'll do then, son.